Part 4. Bootcamp Alchemy Class. Bootcamp Freedom Alchemy Class. Conditions of Engagement 1. Saint Germain, 25th November, 2018. Invocation. Mighty, all-powerful, active presence of God. We ever grow in deeper praise, give thanks and gratitude to you for the life, the light, and the intelligent power manifest everywhere in the universe. For the active presence manifest in the mind, body, home, world, and affairs of everyone. Enable us to understand and feel the radiant power, always active in our world, affairs, and business, knowing no single activity can go wrong. For you govern all action in your love and justice, guiding and regulating all. Mighty Supreme Ruler of the universe, whose law is justice, whose power is invincible, protect America in the great, blazing, loving presence. Saint Germain, I send you all greetings this day, for today allows for the unfoldment of greater awareness and knowledge that will provide the unfed flame within your heart to burn more brightly. Peter, I am aware of your every thought, and I thank you for your agreement, although very reluctantly, to include this particular invocation on this day. I know that you have been deterred by this aspect of the mention of America, not only through the discourses we shall study, but the whole book dedicated to the mighty victory of America. It does seem very biased on the surface, and any human being who was not born in America, feeling their connection to their home country, it will feel unfair. This is normal and entirely understandable. Look at yourself, dear soul, born in Australia and lived in Spain and England, yet you refuse to give up your Australian citizenship. There is no harm in that. It is a human energetic connection that cannot be broken once your feet touch the ground in each incarnation. Yet your connection to America, South Dakota, and Hawaii, did not these places feel home to you? Well, dear ones, now I open to everyone here in this class. Not one of you have not lived at some time, many times in fact lived upon this sacred land, the motherland, the heart of the world. And let me bring your attention to the fact that cannot be denied. Look at the number of present-day Americans in this group. Do you not see a pattern here? Is this a coincidence? You have all seen it, but you all do not know the reason why this happened, and so I will share with each of you in due course, but not today. I know your questions are looming, and we shall speak and answer them all in a few days' time, for what I will share with you will bring you great peace and will open your hearts and minds even more. I acknowledge you all, and in that acknowledgement I shall offer you greater understanding not yet revealed to humanity yet. You have felt it, you have questioned it, and you have placed it into motion to be drawn to you by the mighty power of magnetism of the I Am presence. So you can bring the truth to yourself, and so it will be done. Why have I begun this discourse today with this introduction? Because it is a very good example of not feeling very comfortable with something you see or hear and know there is more, yet remain confused as to how to know more. Confused yet determined to find the truth. To know more, you ask your I Am presence, of which I and the other masters are connected to. Peter has already placed the question on his to-do list, and that has grounded a question that no longer allows it to be an unqualified thought form or action to follow through with. This action is exactly the same as saying out loud, "I wish to know the truth, for I wish to be free." It has the same meaning and the fundamental desire for the recognition, acceptance of truth through the activity of the mighty I Am Presence. The I Am Presence does not separate or distinguish between thought, word, or action, for the I Am knows all. Do you see? So, I use Peter unwittingly, thus his temporary reluctance, as an example for you all, so you will see firsthand a practical example for when I share with you the true meaning of the words, to qualify with your I Am Presence first, in the following expanded points. I had your permission, did I not, brother? Peter, yes, you did. But before I was conscious of it. But I am okay with that. No worries, mate. You see, dear ones, human response, yet love in action. Love in action equals service. Service equals I Am Presence. One of the most beautiful things, dear hearts, about the I Am Presence is there is no space or time with its love in action, no boundaries or limitations, no status or office within the creation of God. And so, the I Am offers a brand new perspective from which to work from within the human inner and outer world. And yet another example of what I will share about the heart of Mother Earth, America, in due course. Now, dear brothers and sisters, onto the topic for today. To begin, I wish to repeat that which I asked to be placed in bold yesterday, for I wish this to be so embedded within your mind and heart that it becomes second nature. For without this principle comprehended and put into love in action, it will be like pumping up a flat tire without having repaired the puncture first. It shall flatten again, until you have ascended fully into your I Am Presence as a master of your own world and reality. The use of decrees and invocations, the application of gratefulness, and adoration for self and others is a law. For while you remain within the limitations of the human consciousness, feet on the ground and walking in the quagmire of human creation, you will be prone to absorb the lower resonances of such things. Even at the higher resonances, this can happen, as Jesus has told you when he was affected by the emotions and actions of others after he came out of the desert. You are not free until you have found your freedom. Never forget this. You can attain your freedom today or tomorrow or in a lifetime or two away. Time is irrelevant in that event. But where you are, it shall be what you give to your I Am Presence that will determine the parameters upon earth as to how quickly you shall attain your freedom. What do I mean by what you give your I Am Presence? One word, dear ones: service. Being in service will be the quickest way you shall achieve this mighty vision. We are already heading towards a larger document of edicts and sentient knowledge, whereby you will feel more comfortable within your feelings and perceptions of thought. So we will continue here today until we reach a reasonable length of time, so as not to exceed the concentration of any dear brother or sister here. What I will do is to ask at the end of these discourses to place all points into a single document for closer reference purposes later. For now, my divine purpose is to bestow the Saint Germain, pun intended, information for each member here. so each may discern for themselves further, and thus to qualify with your own I Am presence first. What do I mean to qualify with your I Am presence first? It's very simple. I have, in fact, already explained it in my example using Peter's querying of the use of placing America before all other countries around the world to focus the I Am presence upon. The I Am presence knows all and therefore in no need to question anything. To qualify simply means to know the truth. So you could replace this statement with the following: to know the truth first before engaging ... If one does not know the truth about what they're engaging with, that could easily have a capacity to lead them away from the maximum potential, thus delaying such attainments for any amount of time. It will not prevent you from reaching the truth in time, for that is always imminent, always the destination and final fulfillment of your mighty freedom. But if you know the truth before you engage anything, you are in the best position to eliminate, disperse, or dissolve any incorrect thoughts or feelings, wrongful action, any misinformation, any misdirection, and indeed could prevent unnecessary karma you may be drawn into. Knowing the truth beforehand would be a godsend, would it not? The main disadvantage of not knowing the truth or not accepting the truth is that the human free will can indeed override it and thus disqualify or unqualify what has or should have been qualified before entering that engagement. When any person thinks, says, or does anything without the qualification by their I Am presence, it remains unqualified, incomplete, lacking, imperfect, or inchoate. And so here lies the main error of any human thought, word, or action that is the result of any pain, suffering, or miscreation. So to qualify the thought received, the I Am presence must be called forth to validate, confirm, or exonerate that thought. That is the time to make your conscious connection. Then the word and/or the action can be shared or put into effect. I repeat, the instant the thought is received, that is the time for qualification, or else it shall remain unqualified. Less thoughts will eventually need qualification when you constantly decree, I am the governing presence of this energy and the power that can raise it. I am the presence raising and transcending it, and that action is forever sustained. I seek only truth, and that truth is my governing power. No, I am the presence doing this, and therefore it is done now, for God's activity is always instantaneous. So, when you need qualification of thoughts, ideas, or visions, especially when you feel that inkling inside that something does not feel right for whatever reason, as Peter did in the word America in this context, do nothing until you take it to your I Am presence. Even if it requires time to arrange that, do nothing until it is qualified to your highest satisfaction. It may not always be the highest, but at least you are getting to understand the feelings and sensations, to know the differences, and more than that, you are engaging the I Am presence, and that is the objective here. I believe that will suffice in this explanation for why I used this statement to qualify with your I Am presence first. Now, to the points one by one. Number 1. To qualify with your I Am presence first, before any engagement of all outdated, alternative modalities of healing service to self or others. I am not going to cut my words short. unless I know that every one of you will understand them without further concern. So here's one of the explanations of the points that need to be explained upon, to the point where each individual will be in a position to qualify with your I am presence first, with a clear vision and understanding of what they are trying to qualify before further engagement. So, those who are already in their knowing, please bear with me as we remove all doubt for every dear brother and sister sharing this knowledge. This is a class environment. Yes, we have begun, not officially perhaps, but as a tutorial discussion and experience. If I may take you back to 1st July 2015, to page 187 of the Elemental Grace Lion's Book 1, A God Awakening, I presented a discourse called Protecting the Future. I have told you before, everything you need has been given to you in the many Ega discourses, and now is the time that we will attempt to bring them all into fruition. In my discourse, I gave you a portal, a vision of what is happening then, and now it is today. So here you are. To save time in rewriting it all, I ask you to simply copy and paste. The words and sentiments remain exactly the same for this point. So please use your discernment and discretion as you read. I quote, "Human beings expand their consciousness through new choices that they make in each new now moment. Humanity must change their minds about so many things in their lives from this moment forward in time, especially accepting and acknowledging that they are not human, no longer thinking that they are. Humans must stop thinking like a human if they are going to advance further toward their ascension status. The reason for this communication this day is to reveal that humanity has arrived at a new point in the evolutionary process, another crossroad, another turning point. Right now, they are poised upon the edge of yet another chasm where the bottom is undetected and unknown. This is not a physical, hollow gorge covered in mists of invisibility, but the abyss of profound differences between peoples of diverse and varying levels of consciousness. There are vast numbers of human beings who are presently standing upon this edge of something new and exciting that is awaiting them for the greatest good of all mankind. So many aspirants are coming to the self-realization that something new is transpiring upon Earth despite the chaos, turmoil, and outrageous actions of a few radical groups in control belief systems. That something now has arrived, and those who are ready to become aware of it are gathering upon the precipice of this leading edge of advancement to be transformed. There is standing room only at this time, as few have yet made the decision to jump into this abyss, let alone to physically engage this transition. Imagine for a moment the picture of lemmings leaping off a cliff into the ocean as they follow the instinctive and intuitive natures to be transformed. This is what we see here with humanity, the moment they realize that life as they know it is not life at all, and just a substitute while coming to understand the reality of their earth sojourn. There is something else that I wish to be known at this stage, and that is, humanity needs to become aware that within this period of change, all New Age concepts, the ways of being seen as spiritual through all associated modalities and ways of being, were only created as a process of introducing oneself to one's higher self as to being spiritual in nature. Now that the spirituality is accepted, albeit not fully understood, then the partaking of the truth about being spirit must go hand in hand with thoughts, words, and actions. A lower level of consciousness is now able to be transcended and elevated to higher levels of awareness and truth. Truth never stops expanding, and to keep up with these rates of expansion, one must make new decisions constantly within their lives. I tell you, dear ones, that alternative modalities, regardless of their natures, are very rapidly becoming obsolete. The end of their usefulness is coming. Indeed, it has been superseded already, and thus will secure the new age disillusion, making way for the next dimensional shift into and through cosmic consciousness. The old new age reality, as it has been called, was but another stepping stone toward more innovative, illustrious, and illumined awareness of who human beings really are. It was another rung set upon the ladder of human evolution that would allow human beings to see another side of what used to be recognized, to make them feel different, more important, and more spiritual than those who were living far more unconsciously within the general populace. These are the perceived differences in consciousness that I mentioned earlier, us and them mentality. I am more spiritual than they are attitudes. I know better, and so my way is why I am correct in my own self-importance. So many have used spirituality as a crutch for their own protection from the truth. That crutch is now being withdrawn and evaporated into the ethers of imaginary reality. So please hear what I am about to say. Let's call them light workers. Light workers have assimilated and utilized the information and knowledge from all sorts of higher entities for guidance and support, and indeed, these loving beings will always be available to guide and direct where necessary. These divine light beings were given permission via dispensations from God to open communications with humanity. These dispensations were offered to provide relief of the higher laws and originally ascribed obligations held within the charters and fiats of God that prevented this interaction between higher entities and humanity on the ground. I am not saying this communication will cease. What I am saying is that the present forms that it takes is now beginning to wane, which will allow humanity to stand far more within their own powers of connection with the I Am presence, and no longer giving their power away to anything outside of themselves. By giving their power away, I mean by using such higher communication as a crutch for them not to stand in their own power of the God light within. But what is being called for now is for the humans who know that they are becoming the Christed ones to step forward and tell their stories of how they changed their lives through self-awareness and how they made their connections directly to their higher selves /I am presence /God, goddess within. These are the new leaders of the planet, the ones that will guide and support humanity from directly within the midst of the human experience. No, I am not speaking of those who work in alignment of self-gratification and self-gain. I am not referring to those who draw energy from others to make themselves feel better or more powerful or higher in the overall scheme of things. And believe me, there are a multitude who take advantage of those around them through the use of higher information and making themselves appear on the surface as more enlightened. Yes, what I am speaking of are those beautiful souls who are selfless distributors of the light. The ones who work tirelessly behind the scenes and not in the limelight of assumed spiritual prowess. I am referring to those who continue to hold the presence of God in their lives simply for love's own sake and not for any type of personal gain, be it money, power, or position. These are the souls we are now asking to become more translucent, to shine their light so that others may see them more transparently, indeed with a more crystal clear consciousness. We need you now more than ever before. Not for what you have to say, but for the resonances of the light that shines from within you. You know who you are. Yes, I am speaking with you, my beloved brothers and sisters. These souls will be far more accepted by the general populace, for they will be seen as human avatars, in the likeness that others can easily believe that they can imitate and emanate from within themselves. So, their achievements will be accepted as potentialities of attainable spirituality, given the work that is required to be undertaken. For those who have never read the parable of the tar pit by Cryon and Lee Carroll, you would do well to read this simple yet most powerful imagery of truth in fine light print. I can tell you now, dear souls, that these are the people that we are calling forth presently to close the gaps of indifference, to bridge the chasms of ignorance and arrogance between the disparities of perceptions and alternative beliefs and understandings of the truth about life upon earth and human relationships between themselves and between themselves and the natural kingdoms. Channeling as you presently know it will soon be a thing of the past, as there will be the new Christed beings in your neighborhood who will share with your own first-hand experiences of knowledge, love, and wisdom, not as human medium of a higher voice, but as a human angel expressing the voice of God directly and first-hand from within them. Let me emphasize this one more time, for I cannot tell you how important it is for you to know this. The present new age is waning very rapidly, and the new cosmic consciousness has arrived, flowing fervently to fill every crack and crevice of human thought form and conscious belief. This new cosmic consciousness is not about new age modalities. It is about being and living within the physical realms, fully embodying greater knowledge that has now begun to abundantly amalgamate love with action. Many are noticing that the old ways of doing things just do not seem to work any longer. Many have felt the pregnant pauses within their lives as they typically begin to step toward old ways, old beliefs, and old programs. Many are realizing that there is no longer completion of old tasks, for they dissolve well before fruition. Well, this is an invitation to all who wish to open their hearts to another way of achieving higher states of awareness and accomplishments. The new cosmic consciousness is the higher truth of who you are and have always been. The resolutions found through this Elemental Grace Alliance will begin to draw closer for greater numbers of humanity who will begin to realize that there is a huge difference between what we call spiritual glamour and divine spirituality. These are like chalk and cheese, and you are going to hear many messages from Spirit, channeled and otherwise, about this as time continues to flow toward higher vibrational living. Spiritual glamour was and shall remain for 10 to 20 years yet as part of the New Age concepts, their modalities and aspects of how they are promoted and used. The reason they are dissolving away is that they never really address the deeper issues of the truth held within the genetic DNA profile of each human being. Not really. They did create ease for the discomforts, but never addressing or eliminating the underlying factors of their cause. To do this, the causal bodies must be contacted and communicated with, and that can only be attained through cosmic consciousness, your link to God through your own individualized I Am presence or higher self. To grow, one needs to expand their consciousness beyond the limitations of what they presently can accept as truth. The new cosmic consciousness is asking you to expand, expand, expand. to open your supreme mind to greater potentials of wakefulness, to look even further afield by allowing your higher I am presences to lead you away from the old truth and toward the only truth. There has never been such a cosmically supported potential as this in the history of the planet to date. Billions of years in the planning. Can you imagine that? End quote. So there you have it. Whatever you presently use within any modality, including the tools such as candles, incense, crystals, graven images, indeed anything that makes you feel better, I am not saying stop using them. I am saying look at them closely and ask why you use them. Are these a crutch for your spiritual glamour, or are they used for the purpose of divine spirituality? The I Am presence shall deny you nothing. But dear souls, be very mindful why you have them. That is the key that will open your door to a life more abundant. Make the wrong choice, and your resonances will not expand at the same rate. Likewise, I say the same for medicinal products or techniques for helping to ease the pains and discomforts of your humanness. Use them by all means if it is about health and well-being, but only until you have replaced them with the mighty I Am presence, who shall relieve you of all your human imbalances, no matter what they be. Jesus says there is nothing on earth the universal consciousness cannot heal or make whole again. That means nothing. No disease, no illness of bodily inflictions, no loss of limbs cannot be renewed, no mental or emotional state of being. It all boils down to your communication with your I Am presence and reaching that point in your consciousness, vibrational frequency and light quotient, and while you communicate along the way, your I Am presence will let you know when the time is ripe to make the changes that presently support you. That is your responsibility now, no one else's. I shall stop here today, and tomorrow we shall continue with point 2 in part 3. Benediction. Mighty presence, whom we in great joy have welcomed. We give thanks for the great wondrous radiance and light, the great radiance and conquering power, and we trust that you will decree justice now for our new life with you from this time forth and to all of life here on the planet. I am the enlightening, revealing presence, manifesting through us with the I Am full power.